All right, here we are at center court, and Jacks take on. This is an important stretch of matches that SFA faces over the next couple of weeks. Sam Houston in here tomorrow, and then down to RGV and New Mexico State. And people have been asking me, when are you going to interview Ielan? When are you going to interview Ielan? So today we get a chance to talk to Ielan Bradley. And first, Ielan, it's no secret now that you're having a big year. You and I have talked about it. There were several of us that saw that coming or predicted that, and you're already over your total kill count for your career. Your next block will tie a career high, over 3 kills per set. What changed? When you think back to the things that you worked on maybe during the off season, what do you attribute this big step up to for you?
I think I don't know if it was just my time, but as the years have gone, I feel like I focused more on what I knew I needed to work on. And I feel like I mentioned before, the spring helped me a lot with just skill-wise everything, handball contact, technique on blocking. I mean, of course, everything I can work better on, but I feel like those are the things that I've honed in more and taken that responsibility for being able to help my team and myself and just my career build up.
Do you feel like there were more, you mentioned a lot of specific things in there. Do you feel like that was a change too, that you had more specific things that were goals for you going through the spring that you said, okay, I've got to really take the step up. I've got to not just generally be in better condition, not just generally take better care of myself, but work on these finer points that you mentioned.
No, for sure. Like my end of the year meeting with Coach Debbie, I knew, of course, handball contact, working on short balls, as far as serve receive or free balls, anything like that. And I knew I was generating kills, but as far as errors, I knew I needed to minimize those. And that's one thing that I've definitely worked on this season. So yeah, those were the main things that I needed to focus on this year.
That's really showed when I ran through some of the numbers. I did mention the 342 hitting percentage. That's second in the WAC coming into tomorrow night. One of the other things that I feel like has really been a big addition to your offensive game this year, hitting from the right side. There are some right sides that really just have hit from one spot on the floor, take those shoots or those high balls. But you're able to do more than that. You'll run off 1 foot, you'll cross in for twos and things. So describe that. Just describe kind of the development of being a right side that has multiple shots and multiple angles you can take.
I think that just comes with, my whole volleyball career up until my sophomore year here, I was a middle. So I was used to running quick sets. I was used to running fast things and just transitioning and being available for the ball no matter where the position of the ball was along the net. So I was just making myself available because the pass may be off or on or anything like that. So being able to allow my setter to know that I'm available even if she can't set the outside or the true middle that's on the court at that time. So I've taken that into accountability. Okay, I need to help my team out in the best way I can, and if it means going out on the pin or coming in for the middle so that it can open up looks for our pin, our outside hitter or the middle to run a slide, anything like that. I've just worked with it and been flexible.
I think that's been a huge addition to your ability to score this season. Let's talk about strength for a second. You've always been a very strong player. Like you said, you played in the middle. Were there any things in terms specifically of conditioning, in terms of strengthening, or was there a different weight routine for you? Because you're hitting the ball again. A lot of this is the technical improvements you made add to your ability to maximize your strength. But we've seen some really, really powerful shots from you this year. Do you personally feel like you're stronger than you were this time last year?
Yes and no. I've always kind of felt like I was strong. Just even my nickname in high school, I was known as the Beast. And so it was just kind of I've always been known as a strong person. But of course, as I get older, the program for training and everything that we do in the weight room is different. So, that can help increase my muscle mass and everything like that. But I don't think I'm necessarily trying to get stronger. Just it happened to be that way.
Let's talk about defense for a while. Over there blocking where you get a primary left side attack hit at you. Mention some of those things again, or talk about some of the things that you feel like that you do better now defensively, blocking oriented at the net. What improvements have you made on your game these last 2 years?
I'd say probably lining up the block and, of course, talking. I mean, talking is the biggest thing because, I mean, you can be in the right position or you could have the right timing, but if you're not talking to your middle, the defense behind you can't do anything about it. Your middle doesn't know when to jump, so there could be gaps or seams or anything like that. So I think talking is definitely a huge factor, I mean, in volleyball in general. And, of course, like pressing low, just those little things, like the tiny details. It doesn't matter if you like block the ball. It's just a matter of like what you're doing across the net and helping everybody else around you.
You've crossed over that threshold from being a new player, freshman, sophomore, to a junior. Again, we have some senior leadership on this club that fills that role very nicely, but I've noticed during this season that there have been small ways that I've noticed that you've been a leader for the team. And certainly as you go into your senior season, that's something that you'll take more responsibility for. You know, there are different kinds of leaders. Sometimes that's natural to people. Sometimes it's something they have to learn to do. But is that something that you appear comfortable to do? I've seen you in appropriate times correct teammates about just small things around the gym or on the road. So talk about the responsibility you take as a starter, as a leading scorer, but also just as having a leadership role as you prepare for year 4.
I like having the responsibility of like being looked up to as a leader. I may not like technically have that role, but I don't want it to come off as like I'm being bossy or I'm like always trying to critique somebody. I mean, I kind of just try to like let them figure it out themselves. But if I see that, okay, if I like give a little bit of input and it can help them and benefit them in the future, I mean, of course, I'm like going to help them out in whatever way I can. But I just kind of like figure out where my place is and see, okay, is this a good time to say this or is this a good time to like do anything about that?
And as you're kind of making that decision, do you ever think back, say, to when you were a younger player, say your freshman year, who those people were for you, who those people were? Do you ever kind of in your mind flip that role over and go, oh yeah, that particular gal was really helpful to me when I was new to a program? Who were some of those people that you might remember?
Taya Mitchell, for sure. Like Taya was my big sister on the team. She was, I mean, of course I came in as a middle, and so she was always able to like help correct me and like just help me come along with the pace and everything else with that. Nina also, I mean, she wasn't necessarily like always on the court, but she knew volleyball well, so she was able to help with that also.
I want to talk for a minute. Just, you know, people ask me all the time when they see our record 18-3. We've had some long stretches of wins. It's natural for people to start comparing this team to others. I think people love to do that in sports. And we're sitting here where we can see banners and all of the years and the history of this program. And I get asked a lot what I think about 2022 versus some of those years in the past, and I just tell people it's too early. Like the destiny of this team is yet to really be written. But one thing I do think that this team has is a lot of depth. So I want to sort of give you a chance to kind of highlight your teammates. Let's start on the left side. You know, for us, it's been primarily Audie and Leah, but we've seen flashes this year of Cam coming off the bench. So there's a true 3 deep on the left. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, for sure. I mean, of course, we're going to get into further positions later, but I love having like the ability to know that if one person isn't doing what they, are responsible for doing, then we have somebody else that can come off the bench and do what they need to do. And we all trust each other. Like the dynamic on the court may be different, but it's not necessarily in a bad way. We just work with each other differently. And so having Cam come on the court, like we know she has a powerful swing and just, of course, being a freshman, like you lack that experience a little bit, but playing with us and like, the more games you play, she'll become more accommodated to how we play and everything like that, and she'll get more comfortable on the court.
And then going across the front row in the middle, we have Kelsey, who's returned very effectively from injury, hitting for a high percentage, not counted on for a lot of offense, but very efficient with the balls that she gets. And of course, I don't know that we could have expected more from Bella. Bella leads the WAC in blocks at 77. And then right behind that, we have the same sort of deal when we have Jemiah Anderson, who's able to provide the depth in that position too.
Yeah, Jam, she came with us in the spring. And so I tell her all the time, I'm like, it's crazy how much improvement you've had. Like, she has gotten so much better. And I'm just like, I'm proud of everybody because, of course, Kelsey, she got comeback athlete of the year for our program. Bella, she's very hard on herself, but I don't know if she realizes like how good she is. Like, she has a lot of potential throughout her 4 years here, and so I trust all the middles also. Like I feel like we have a very good connection and like a good team that we've built so far.
I love that each of those middles has their own story. Jemiah coming over and all the improvement, like you said, Bella flashing onto the scene as a freshman, and Kelsey just sort of story of perseverance. Okay, setter, same deal. It's we have Maddie, who's been experienced, who's paired up with you, who that connection's probably as strong as it's ever been. And gosh, I mean, I just keep saying Jaden Flynn's just never hit a freshman bump. And I mean, again, you've got Trinity and Ielan back there too. It's like, that's another position where we haven't needed to push that depth yet, but there's depth there too.
Yeah, I mean, just having the availability of like having each position, like the setters, we know like, okay, we have an offense to run, so having the players, or even if like they're not on the court, just knowing like, okay, on the sidelines, what they're able to help us do, and just being able to talk to us and everything like that. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
And then last, at Libero, we used Audie, and Audie's so versatile. I mean, Audie came in and wore the jersey for us. At this point last year, Audie was our Libero. And then we bring in two other starting Liberos from other programs, in Haley Hong and Ivana Ramos. And then again, you've got others. You've got Izzy back there. You've got Bree back there. So that, of all of them, to me, seems like that is an area that really, really got shored up, was the back row and floor defense.
No, for sure. I think, since I've been here, at least this is the most amount of DS Bros that we've had like recruited, like come in and everything like that. And it's constantly like it's competition all the time. Our defense has gotten so much better. So like even us as hitters, we have to find different ways to score because they're getting the balls up all the time. So it's like, it's frustrating to us, but it makes everybody better because they're like, okay, these defenders are doing really well. So it makes us hitters think about, okay, what other shots do I have?
I think we are absolutely stacked on the back row for the next couple of years. And last, I always want to ask you about this, give you a chance to kind of highlight this. I know your family is important to you. Your mom is a huge fan. I'm sure this is going to be all over the place. But just I've asked you about this before, but I don't think there's any. I don't think you can ever have any cap to how grateful you can be for the people that have helped you. And I mean, we all have those people that without them we wouldn't be able to do what we do. I know family is important to you. Just go around and kind of give a shout out to those people. They're a big supporter of you.
Yeah, I love all of them. I mean, volleyball was kind of like, okay, so my older sister, she played volleyball, and like we were all athletes. And she was like always my big role model and everything. So I followed in everything that she did. And so volleyball was one of the sports that she did. But of course I would follow after every sport that she played. And so when I finally told my mom, I was like, okay, I want to play volleyball. She was like, oh, you're not just doing it because you're a sister, are you? And I was like, no, like I actually want to play. And so, of course, nobody thought like I would go this far, like believe that I actually like wanted to play. And so, going into my summer of my 15s year, we have like my club Tornadoes. We have this thing called Summer League. And so I was just in the gym, like getting reps and everything like that. And so some of the coaches were like, okay, she has to try out this year. Like it was just kind of like raw. Like I didn't know much about volleyball, but like I was an athletic. And so we were able to convince my mom to let me try out, and I made the top team and everything like that. So as I was going, like every year my parents checked in on me. They were like, is this still what you wanted to do? And so they were like, okay, we'll invest in you now so that in the future we don't have to pay for your school or anything like that. So luckily that was able to happen. But it's just like, I know the constant support that I get from everybody is like, that's what's keeping me here right now. It's just knowing that I have them.
I just think it's so important to be grateful for people that give you opportunities. And I mean, every athlete at this level's got a story. I mean, we need to always tout this in these videos. I mean, parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, you got to have somebody to drive you to tournaments. You got to have somebody to buy you gear. I mean, if you don't have all that support, you can't grow. And I mean, I've really seen that with you, and your family is a big support to you. All right, Jack's tough test, but this is what we're here for. This is to make a run through some of the tough teams in the WAC. We'll see Sam Houston again tomorrow night, and then RGV and New Mexico State next week. Ielan, you're having a great season. Keep it up. Let's win some ball games. Let's especially win tomorrow night to get retribution on Sam Houston.
Thank you, Greg.